It's time to figure out how much it costs to hire and have employees for your resale store. Let's begin. So you are at your financial model for your resale store. You're plugging in your revenue. As you can see, my resale store is going to be a clothing store, and I'm going to sell a bunch of products. And you can see I'm already building out my revenue model. I got over to my variable expenses, and I'm building that out, and I'm looking good. I'm making a lot of profit, as you can see. However, we need to have employees. You can't. It's hard to run a business if you're the only one, and so we need to build out our employees, and that's going to be that's going to fall under our other expenses, and I'm going to show you how to calculate this in this video. Before we do that, I want you to know that there are 4 different tiers of employees. There's Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. Tier 1 employees are your most entry-level employees. They're typically 16 to 18-year-olds. It's their first job. They're going to be doing kind of the menial labor of your store. They get paid anywhere between $8 an hour to $15 an hour. In some places, $15 is now the minimum wage. In other places, $8 is the minimum wage. And so, you have to pay them, somewhere between here, depending on where you're at. Now, Tier 2 employees, they're entry level, but they've been with your company for 6 months, and they've had good reviews. They've been faithful employees for 6 months. And so you can see that they get a pay bump. So they get paid between $12 an hour and $20 per hour. Great. So they're a little bit more experienced. They can, for instance, handle a little bit more of the work on their own. They're not so dependent, and they're trustworthy. They've been there for 6 months. They have a good proven track record. Now, Tier 3 employees are what we call your experienced workers. They've been with your company for over a year, maybe more. And they're really solid workers. They can train new Tier 1 employees, for instance. They can handle bigger projects on their own. So they're more experienced. They get paid between $15 an hour and $25 an hour. All right. And then lastly, we have Tier 4 employees. These are managers. Now, managers are responsible for a lot. They're responsible for scheduling all of these people, for handling conflict between these people. If one of them doesn't show up, manager got to step in and figure it out. They're in charge of hiring and firing. They're in charge of distributing work to all these people. So manager, it's a big job, and you don't need many of them. You need just a few of them, and they get paid more. So they get paid between $17 an hour and $30 an hour. So those are tiers. The way that shows up in your financial model is this. If you come over to this tab called Employee Cost Calculation, you're going to see here for step 1, choose the wages you will pay your employees. So we have Tier 1 employees, Tier 2, 3, and 4. And so what you're going to do is you're going to choose how much you want to pay your Tier 1 employees. So let's say you decide to pay your Tier 1 employees $10 per hour. Okay. And then we got Tier 2. Maybe you think, hey, after 6 months, they should bump up a little bit. So maybe $12 an hour. Tier 3, maybe, I don't know, bump up a lot, like $17 an hour. And then Tier 4, $22 an hour. So you're making decisions about how much your employees are getting paid. All right. So that's step 1. Now let's go back and look at step 1. So decide the hourly wage for each tier. So we just did that. Now you can make your own decisions. I was just quick about it, but you can make your own decisions. 2, decide when your store will be open. So let's look at that. There are shifts. So your store could open at 5. We call this the morning shift. 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's 6 hours of work. We have a midday shift from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we have an evening shift from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then we have an overnight shift from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Now, those are the 4 shifts that you can choose from. Maybe you don't want an overnight shift. Maybe it doesn't make sense for your resale store to be open overnight. So you don't need to choose it, but it's available to you. So maybe you just want to do morning, midday, and evening shifts. Or maybe you just want to do morning and evening shifts. It's up to you how you want to do that. And we make that decision right here. So if we scroll down to step 2, it says choose the number and type of employees your company will need each day. And so you can see we got tier 1 through 4 for our morning shift. So we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Maybe your store is not open on Sundays, so we're going to leave these blank. Maybe on Mondays, you open at 5 a.m. and you need one tier 1 employee, and maybe you want a responsible tier 3 employee, and maybe the manager doesn't come until later. It's up to you. But you can see what I did was I just assigned some employees to Monday morning shift. Well, what about Tuesday morning? You might want to do the same thing. You might want to go 1 and 1, and we'll do the same thing for all the way till Friday. And then maybe on Saturday you don't want to open up until midday. So again, maybe we have a beginner employee in, and well, it's going to be more traffic, right? So maybe more workers. It's up to you. I'm just giving a hypothetical here. So that's for your morning shift. If we look at your midday shift, so that's from 11 a.m. to 5. Maybe you want, maybe you expect traffic to be increasing a little bit, so you want a couple of tier 1s and maybe 1 tier 2 and 1 tier 3, and maybe this is where the manager comes in. Who knows? And so you can see that you can build this out. You can build this out, and again, maybe Sunday you're not open. And you can keep going. So we have 2 more shifts. Maybe for your evening shift, you can arrange how you want your employees to be there. And then we said overnight shift, maybe you're open, maybe you're not. If you're not open, leave it blank. Hey, look at what we've done so far. We have a dashboard over here. It tells you how much you're going to be spending on your tier 1 employees, your tier 2 employees per month. So every month, you're going to be spending almost $4,000 on your tier 1 employees, almost $1,500 on your tier 2, $5,000 on your tier 3, and then $2,000 on your managers. And then when you add up this, it's about $12,900, about $13,000 in total monthly employee costs. Okay, well, let's come back here. So what we just did was we decided when your store was open. We decided how many employees you'll need to work. Now for step 4, you want to monitor your expenses. In other words, what we want to do is we want to now come back to our budget, and we want to see, for my employees, I'm spending $12,960 per month on my employees. And that's coming out of my overall profits. So that's really interesting. So you got to be careful. You don't want this to be $100,000 of employee costs for obvious reasons. Because then all your revenue will go to paying for your employees. So you guys, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be you are going to be making hiring decisions and staffing decisions for your company, and you're going to try to do it within a budget that keeps your company profitable.